future champion out of this, you will have to go well, because there's an enormous field of people hoping to get up into the high echelons, up to the top of the Australian series, and then to go on overseas. There's C and D graders only. They're on up to 1,000 cc machines. They go hard and they go pretty well for their limited experience. Jumping to the lead, Richard Moore from Victoria, C grader. On number 7, the Yamaha R1.
I'm a little bit concerned about our buddy Riko. I look like, to me, he got away a little too well. Let's just hope officials don't see it the same way. It seemed to me that it was pig rooting, to use a strange term, on the line a little bit there. Let's hope he doesn't get pinged for jumping to start. The distinctive yellow lines of James Van Rooyen, the STR entry, a little bit further back in the order, but look at this battle for the lead, Will. 3 of them going at it.
Yeah, good stuff, and Moore taking the classic line has gone from first to a very tight second. I thought he might have slipped back to third there. If you take too much of a racing line, big wide entry, all sorts of rude people jump underneath you, down the inside at that hairpin corner, trading post corner. Now heading around the very fast back section, coming out of Siberia, heading through the right-hander, and then off towards Lukey Heights, but they've got a couple of very high-speed corners before they get up to there. And then they come launching up over the top, back down through the gears, brake very hard, try and get the apex here. And then do a short shift up through the copse, over to the left-hand side. 3rd gear, 4th gear. And now look how long they're on their side. Accelerating all the way. Left-hand turn, left hand. Coming around to turn 12.
You make it sound so easy, and it doesn't look that to me, that's for sure. Chris Williams is doing a good job here. The Scorpion race gear, Stafford Yamaha. We haven't seen much of him. We look at this battle for second now between the 82 of Brendan Gorowski and Moore. Now there goes your leader, Chris Williams. Chris who? Chris Williams. He's spanking him.
Just one of the things that I love about motorcycle racing is that you can see the rider operating. You can see the gear changes with the left foot. You can see the hand snapping back on the throttle on the right-hand side. You can, of course, see the enormous amount of physical body work. And you can see the odd error as well. Out wide, round near where Carl Fogarty ended his illustrious World Superbike career. That was Chris Williams, and if you want to buy an R1 Yamaha that needs a little bit of work, that's your bike.
What a shame. He was pushing hard, obviously pushing a little too hard. And a few of these guys, a bit more experienced now in this particular form of competition. And we look back, yes, lost the front end, and the tail stepped out, and around he went. Fortunately, a relatively harmless crash for his point of view. He just lays there, checks all the vitals. Yep, everything's still there. Let's get up and go and assess the damage to the bike.
No, he didn't bother looking at that. He knew it was a nasty bit of business.
Well, over the top of Lukey minus the race leader now. We now have a new one of those. Gorowski and Moore. And look out, because the 34 bike of Steve Manning, Jungle Boy, starts to jump right into it as well. The Circuit Breakers Race School's Jungle Boy racing entry. Oh, bit of a wriggle there.
Manning doing a good job. He's a D grader from New South Wales, but Richard Moore from Victoria is a C grader. Gorowski is a C grader too from Queensland. So we've got 3 states represented in the top 3 at the moment. Moore on 7, Manning 34, Brendan Gorowski on 82. Following then, Rodney Johnson on 91.
Well, there is Chris Moore tipping in the Yamaha, R1 corner, which is appropriate, but this little battle has been raging since day one. It's been, well, the battle for second initially. It's now for the lead. They're cranking it.
They might have all come from different states, but in the top 4, the one thing in common is that they're all on Yamaha R1s, which is appropriate. We're just going through Yamaha corner.
Well, you see there the flag just waving, let the guys know that there was a bike down. That was our leader originally. Gorowski, a very late apex there. Oh, not as late as Moore's. He opened the door up big time for Manning. He'll get him back on the inside out of trading post here. Whoa! They elbow each other.
It's tough stuff, and this is one of the nice things about Phillip. He can get away with all sorts of different lines into and out of corners because of the way the corners are all moved up. If only, have a look at this. Tough stuff. Elbow, not so much sort of just saying, hang on, I'm here, you're there, let's keep it separate. They didn't want to go any further with it than that. Good run down the straight, Moore and Manning getting into each other.
Yes, Manning, in fact, will not get up the inside. And looking at the prime posse, he backed down a little bit and allowed the a little bit braver more to gather up the real estate. So he's back in the second and clearly, and ahead of them at the moment is Gorowski on the North Star Yamaha T Anchor Racing entry. He's off the circuit.
And he's going so frighteningly fast. He can't get on the picks. He just had to ride through it, keep it as upright as possible, and call on as little change of direction as possible as up at the front of the field the battle goes on.
How big the pucker factor then? Off the circuit like that, you would be gripping the tank with every muscle you had. That was frightening for Gorowski. He's back on the course. This is how easy it happens, Will.
It just slid on him. He needed extra space to sort it all out. He was leaning over just a little bit, but he managed to ride it through. You can see how rough the outfield was. He wasn't calling on much except the feet to steady him in case something went further wrong. But happily regained the track still in situ on the bike.
Look at this battle raging now. It's really going on. This is a very, very good category. The Flexi Rider Insurance Formula Extreme C&D Future Champions Cup. And Moore is your leader, but it's got Manning all over him.
And on these R1 Yamahas, a lot of people probably don't appreciate just how fast they are. They are as fast as a Grand Prix bike of 20 years ago. They absolutely fly. They do nearly 300 kilometres an hour in standard form. They do less than 11 seconds for a standing 400 metres, which would run rings around a Ferrari, Maserati or an Aston Martin.
And in the wrong hands, they can certainly be a real problem. But these guys starting to learn the craft. They're starting to learn how to ride against each other as well. They're all very even in terms of their competition. It's just who wants it more than the others. Gorowski's starting to make some charges back now. We're into the last lap. There he is, up behind the 91 of Rodney Johnson.
So the interesting thing is a two-way battle up at the front for 1-2 on the podium, and then this three-way battle for the last podium position. It is a beauty. We've got Richard Moore, Steve Manning on 7 and 34 battling at the front, then Gorowski on 82, Rodney Johnson on 91, and Riko Partoosh on the 600 Honda in 5th place at the moment.
Yes, Riko's our favourite racing name, in case you haven't gathered. There he is on the 600, closing in the distance. Not sure what Riko can do about all this, but at the moment, it's a battle between Moore and Manning. It's been a beauty, one of the best races of the weekend so far, and we go back with it now.
Riko's been really clever on that bike number 18, because he's got a bike that he can probably feel very confident on now, of getting absolutely all the performance out of it. He looks a hero in a field of a whole pile of 1000cc bikes. In fact, there is not another bike less than 1000 cc's in the field, and he's running 5th on a 600. And his racing costs would be less as well.
Checkered flag is not too far away, and for Richard Moore, it can't come any quicker. Right behind him is Manning. Last couple of corners here at the island. Flexi Rider Insurance. It's the C&D Formula Extreme Future Champions Cup. Here they come. Down YMF Lone straight away. Can Manning get a run on him?
Manning doing a superb job. He's got a wonderful run onto the straight. Into the slipstream position behind Moore. Chasing him. And that is what 25 hundredths of a second looks like as they go across the line. Brendan Gorowski got away from the other pair behind him to take the last podium position ahead of Rodney Johnson, Riko Partoosh, then Van Rooyen, Leamington and Ray.
Yeah, I got into the front and tried to get away from him and had a bit of a high